Hey YouTube, we are back. Tomas Bay, also known as Coach Bay. This week we are talking about simple language. Presentation principle number 7. If you want to influence more people and make them love you, use simple language. What does that mean? Watch this. Boom. Let's get started. When I first arrived in Hong Kong, I came to Hong Kong to be the managing director of Maersk Logistics. And we were part of the bigger Maersk Logistics global organization. Maersk Logistics Hong Kong was a big entity. It was actually the biggest company outside of the US. And as a managing director, you report to a board. And on our board, because of the size of the organization and the importance, we had some very prominent and senior directors from around the world who would fly into Hong Kong every 6 months to have this board meeting. Now, when you have a board meeting, you have to prepare a board file and a board presentation. And before our first board meeting, I sat down with our finance director and I said, so what do we need to do? What has to go into the file in terms of numbers, and what has to be done in terms of text and support of the numbers? And he took care of the numbers, and I wrote the update on the business. So basically what has happened, where are we now, and where are we going to go. Now I put a lot of time into that, and I then submitted the file to our chairman for review before the actual meeting. I submitted the file. 2 days later the file came back, and I opened it and I looked, and it didn't look like the file I sent. It had marks and red comments, and it looked like something you got back in school from a teacher who was not very happy. So there was a note at the end say, please come and see me. So I was like, oh crap. Went to see my chairman, sat down in front of him, and he said, here's the thing. This file is not made for the people in the room. And let me tell you why. He said, look at this paragraph. Your sentences are too long. There are too many words. It's too complicated. Number 2, you use very fancy words. They are not fancy people. They might be senior people, but they don't know your business. Because you are director engineering does not mean you understand logistics. Because you've been running a business in South America doesn't mean that you understand logistics in South China and Hong Kong. You need to change your language. And he said, the worst thing is your acronyms. All these 3-letter acronyms, they're all over the place. They don't know what that means. Again, they're not experts. So here's the thing. If you send that file to them, you will make them feel stupid. Never, ever make anyone in business feel stupid, and especially not senior people. It's not a very good career move. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to go back, you're going to shorten the sentences, you're going to use simpler words, and yes, you're going to change those acronyms to something that actually makes meaning to the people in the room. Boom! And I was like, it was like a 10-year-old being told off by the headmaster. I went back, I changed the file, and everyone loved it. But I also learned a very important lesson. So let me talk a bit more about what I see in business and the mistakes people make. So there are a couple of things. Back to my story. One thing I see every day is that every industry, every company, every department have their own set of words and acronyms that they use. And if you're an engineer, you have studied many years to acquire the skills as an engineer, and that business or that career is full of language, their own language. The same in marketing, the same in IT, the same in logistics. You have your own vocabulary. And when you're together with your own people, your own tribe, that's fine. You can say whatever you want because they understand, they speak the same language. But as soon as you talk to either external people or you talk to other departments, IT talking to marketing, marketing talking to logistics, logistics talking to finance, you want to change your language so everybody understands it. So acronyms, cut them out. Say something that makes meaning. Jargon, I love jargon. In particular, if you are in, basically everyone has it, but marketing, sales, consultants, the whole new startup world, they have so many sexy words. And you know what? If you're not part of that world, you don't know. So the trick here is to make it simple enough for people in the room to understand and follow you. Let me tell you about a study. So a few years ago, there was a study done in the US, and they looked at 3 prominent people in the IT technology business. And they looked at Bill Gates, they looked at Michael Dell, and Steve Jobs. And what they did was they looked at their language and the way they speak. And they basically looked for 2 things. They looked for how long are they sentences that they use, longer versus short. They looked for the words they use. Are they everyday words or are they more advanced, fancy words? And what they found was this. If you look at Bill Gates, longer sentences, more fancy words, his level, communication level, is basically university. That's how he communicates. So if you want to understand everything Bill Gates say, university level. Michael Dell, slightly shorter sentences, slightly simpler words, high school level. And the last one, Steve Jobs, speaks like the everyday man, short sentences, simple words, 5th grade. He can speak to any 10-year-old. It works like magic. So if you're speaking to a mixed audience, if you're speaking to people who are not part of your tribe, speak like Steve Jobs. Let me give you a really cool tool that I like and I use. So you might be looking at this and say, I don't really know whether my language is complicated or simple enough. So one thing you could do is you could write down what you want to say, and you can go to this app called the Hemingway App.com. And in the browser, you can copy paste what you want to say into the app, and the app will tell you how advanced this is. It will grade your language, similar to the study about Bill Gates, Michael Dell, and Steve Jobs. It will tell you where you are, and generally you want to be at grade 10 or below. It will also tell you about your composition. So the sentences, are they too long? Are they too hard to read? And it will highlight in color, so you can go in and basically adjust online in the text directly, and it will to make it simpler and make it more easy to understand for other people. I love that tool because it also helps me give feedback to senior people. So when I see in particular people who have written things down and I get a document or an email and I'm like, huh? I can sit and argue about whether the language is correct or not and whether it's too hard to read or not, but I can also just take that, copy that whole thing into the Hemingway app. The Hemingway app will tell you whether it's too hard or too whatever it is. And you can take that and you can send it to that person and say, here's the feedback. It's not just me. The app is telling you this is too hard. Your sentences are too long and it makes no sense if you want to talk to normal people. Boom. The last thing I want to give you is another favorite of mine is Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is phenomenal when it comes to language. And if you read his annual shareholder report, you can take that and you can copy paste it into the Hemingway app, and it will come out usually between grade 7 and grade 9 because he used really simple language. And what Warren Buffett does is every time he writes the report, he will show the report to his sister, and his sister is not a finance person. So that's the test. If my sister can't read it, I have failed, and he will change it. It is so cool because the finance world is full of legal babbly boogly bab that is just too long, too complicated. Just go to your credit card terms and conditions and read that, and then call me if you think you understand everything. I don't, because there are lawyers behind it and they hide behind legal gobbledygook. It's not for you and me. So if you want to connect, you want to be like Warren Buffett and Steve Jobs. Now, Warren Buffett, The Security and Exchange Commission in the US, which is kind of like overlooking the financial world and making sure that people file the right and proper documents when they want to go on the stock exchange, some years ago they published a handbook to help people and help companies write in a way that normal people can understand, in plain English. Now, I have put a link to that manual below. You might not be in the finance world, but I would suggest you have a look at the manual because it will give you a lot of general tips on how to simplify your language. It would also give you examples. So they have taken documents before and after and shown how they have simplified it and made it easier to read. And it's not just about the words or the sentences, it's also the visual element, so the design. So check that out. The link to the Hemingway app is there as well. I would check out those tools. One other thing you can do is get feedback. So ask people in your weekly meeting, the next time you do a presentation in a bigger room, get feedback from people in the audience saying, how did I come across? Do you understand what I'm talking about? Was it too hard? What can I improve? Or you can get feedback from people on the outside. Now, I have a 11-year-old daughter, perfect feedback person. She will tell me if she doesn't understand what I'm talking about. So when I have new material, I will test it with her and say, do you understand this? And if she does, she will say yes. If she doesn't, she'll say, I have no idea what you're talking about. Then I will change. And I only stop until I get, yes, I get it. Now, there might be a resistant person going out there saying, yeah, but I'm an engineer. And I've studied so many years to become who I am today. This is my craft. This is the language we use. I know, but I don't give a shit. And the world doesn't give a shit. The world gives a shit about what you can do for them. And in order to understand what you can do for them and how you can help and how you can be of service, you need to connect. You want to make sure they understand what you're talking about. If they don't, they're going to walk away. People are busy. They have a lot of other things to do. So do you want to be the person that they love and understand? Or do you want to be the person where they go, never mind, don't understand what this person is talking about. Let's go for a coffee. Your choice. Let me summarize 3 things. First of all, you want to shorten your sentences, less words, make them one sentence, one thing. Number 2, simpler words. Use everyday language. You do not need to sound like some fancy smart dude or dudey. Everyday language. And number 3, drop the jargon. Drop the acronyms. If you use shorter sentences, if you use simpler language, and if you drop the jargon and the acronyms, people will come up and they will say, thank you. I actually understood what you said. It was awesome. You did not make me feel stupid today. Awesome. Do that. That was presentation principle number 7. Use simple language. I'm Tomas Bay, also known as Coach Bay. I will be back with the next video, which is about storytelling and how you can use stories to make your presentations come alive and make more people connect with you. Until then, say no to crappy presentations, fight for what is right, stand up, improve your slides, improve your stories, and just do whatever you can to connect with the people in the room. They deserve a better you. And when you do, you will win more hearts and minds. I will be back. Stay tuned. Boom.